Welcome back to In Between Podcast. As the seasons change and the holidays approach, we will start thinking about traditions, both the good and the bad. How are you planning to spend this holiday season? Will you embrace cherished memories or create new ones? Today we are diving into seasons and traditions, the joy, the challenges, and everything in between. So grab a cup of coffee, let's jump right in.
You're listening to In Between Podcast, and we're your hosts, Celeste and Sarah. Today's episode is about season and traditions. And so what that looks like with the holidays and the stress and what we plan to do. And we're going to talk about that today. We are still in our 40-day challenge. We are a little over halfway. We hope y'all are still joining us and doing amazing with it. And we really pray that God's showing y'all some awesome insights, because God has been showing us some awesome insights, and we're excited about how it's changing our lives. So, seasons and traditions when it comes to the holidays. What it looks like. A lot of it is stressful.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, I don't know, it's hard to say, like, it's so much going on during that time. Like, you're going to the next thing, like you just got this whole list of things, and it's really hard for me, like, to find like the calmness and like the good, because it's so just like this.
Yeah.
And like, especially with like not just even your own family and what you're doing, like activities wise, but like extended family, like you have to do all of the things or you feel guilty about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there's definitely like the good in traditions, but there's also like the bad as far as like the stress, and like we need to look at like what is good for our family, and like that may not be going to the great aunt's party.
That's know? Like 2 hours away in the middle of nowhere with your baby. You know?
Yeah, definitely a big stressor. So we're just going to kind of dive in and like what that looks like in our own lives, and then kind of how to like, how can we figure this out, and like, so it's not so stressful, or like maybe just, cut the guilt, like get rid of all that guilt and like do what like we need to do for our families,
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, like, when I got married, like, we were together 5 years of marriage before we had our first kid. And so, like, we literally did everything. Like, whatever the family function was, we did it. Because, like, we didn't really matter. Like, we can be tired, and, like, my husband and I are really not big on, like, Christmas gifts and like traditions and stuff when it comes to just me and him. And so we're like, well, we'll just do whatever family's doing. Like, that's fine. And so we did. And like on Christmas Day, even, like, we have to go from like one breakfast brunch literally to a lunch right after. Are we going to eat? No, but like, it's like, okay, hi, bye. And then it's like, okay, hi, and then it's like, bye. Now we got Christmas Eve, and like by the end of it, you're like stuffed and like you ate like the same food like 5 times, And I'll say, like, it was easier for me and my husband to do those things and like be a part of everybody's traditions and the whole family, like extended family and everything, distant cousins, and be a part of that. But now that we have a kid, like, we've already had to sit down and talk about, like, what are we doing as a family for these holidays? And really had to, like, sit down, talk about what we wanted, each of us wanted, and then what we wanted to give our kid for these holidays, And stress is not one of the things that we talk, like, that we wanted to give during these holidays,
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, because of the, like, before you have kids, it's like just a totally different thing, because because once you have kids, you want to have your own traditions and your own family time. And like before, like we didn't wake up and like sit under the tree with just me and
Yeah.
Nelson and be like, what's our gifts? you know?
Yeah.
But now it's like I want to see like really go to the tree and be like, or whatever it is. And like same with Shepherd. But like, yeah, it's totally like it's a total different story. And I think that stress comes with that because you want to go still to all those things that you had been going to, but it's like I also want to just spend time with my kids and my husband. So
Yeah.
it's like a hard thing that you're battling because all the grandparents also want you to come to theirs because I mean you're their child and they want to see their grandkids. So
Yeah.
it's like a very hard dynamic that we're trying to figure out. And then other people don't understand too. But it's like you should because you've already been through the same thing,
Yeah.
But it's like, what are our priorities? And like, asking God for like guidance on like what is best. Because I think that sometimes our own selfish, like, this is what we want takes over. And that may not be like what we need for our family as well. As far as like going to see the grandparents, like these things are not bad things. They can be overwhelming and stressful, but how can we navigate through those things?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good point that, like, yes, some things like going to drive to see grandparents, or great grandparents with our kids can be stressful, but also like it's a good thing in the end. Like some of it is like worth it. And like for me, one set of my grandparents is all the way down in Montgomery. We're all the way in Tennessee, and like it's a long drive or whatever. And so like the idea of like going to see them during the holidays is like kind of stressful, but also like those pictures and those memories that we can give to our kids later of like, hey, we went and did this, might be worth it, but like you kind of have to sit down and decide which ones, like what things will be worth it and what stressful things aren't worth it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I was just thinking about like my grandparents as you were saying that because like we only have one grandmother as far as like my family. Now Nelson has both of his grandparents, so that's two grandparents that we do go to. But like my grandmother, I feel like that's a must almost because it's like she's the only one left. Like you don't want her to be lonely on these holidays or like traditions or whatever. So I definitely think that like giving that time up, and it may not be the same day like every single year. Yeah, that's what it used to be. Like we would go over there on Christmas Day lunch after we would wake up at home, open our gifts, and then go to her house. But it over the years it's had to change because we can't all make it there at the same time at 12 o'clock lunch because like that's not ideal for our family or like what we're wanting to do. And then sometimes it doesn't match up with like my sister or my brother. So we're definitely, it's okay to be like, you know what, maybe we should change that date and kind of like suggest it. Because that was also kind of hard to do. Like say like, hey, let's do that. But our family is very small. We have a smaller immediate family as far as like my siblings and stuff. So I think that it's okay to like suggest like, hey, let's do something different so we all can make it there. And, that's not a big deal. I feel like that's less stressful on your family dynamics,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you have a family that's going to be open to like changing things, like do suggest it. I think really the stress comes from the families who don't want to change anything about their traditions. And it's like, no, it's this night, like every year, and like at this time. And like, you better be there. You're not going to see us,
Yeah.
And I think that can be really hard and like put a lot of stress on you. And and for like Brantley and I, like we do have that in our family. And so like we've had to prioritize like that, because we do want to be a part of that family function. But then we've had to ask other family members like, hey, can you be flexible because this family is not flexible in this, like we're solid,
Yeah. You definitely can't make everybody happy. And that's one thing that I feel like we always try to do is make everyone happy and like put our own like stress aside, or like our own selves aside. We're like, like we're trying to make everybody happy this year or whatever. But then in the end, like, is that good for you? Is that good for your heart and your soul and your family?
Yeah.
Am I over here like, yeah, this is so much fun, and then over here I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to kill somebody. You know what I'm saying? And that's obviously not good for my husband or my children to see me like this is the person over here that they're getting, because I'm so like trying to people please over here, you know? And it's like I said, there's like a balance in like your traditions or your holiday things, and like how we can get past this person over here and be like a good mix of that person.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, we want to be the happy, especially as moms, like we want to be the happy person like on Thanksgiving, and we want to be like thankful and like happy, but then also we're like, get in the car, we're running late, and I still gotta stop by the store, and I hope it's open because I gotta get something that I forgot, and then we're like running late, and you're like yelling at your husband, and then yelling at your kids, and then your kid doesn't take a nap, and then it's like everything is wrong with your family, and you get frustrated that they're not cooperating to make it to this event that you're like stressed out about, and that honestly happened to us on Thanksgiving this past year. I was freshly postpartum.
That's what I'm saying. Our babies were so young.
Yeah, and I had signed up to make a dessert or something for my family function, and it wasn't supposed to be complicated. Like, I think it was just brownies or whatever, but like I mentally like couldn't think about it. Like, I had mastitis actually during that time. I was like completely sick. Like, I was running like 102 fever, and like trying to pump, and felt exhausted, and it was just awful. And so my mother-in-law was so sweet, and she was like, I can make the brownies for you. And I'm like, that's amazing. But then she lives all the way across town, and like we had to meet her in order to get the brownies, and then everything was going wrong. I think my son had a blowout like on the way there, and so then we had to stop, and then we had to change him, and then he wasn't in his Thanksgiving outfit anymore, by the time we made it to them. And we were like, I think we only ended up being like 10 minutes late, but then everybody's calling me and it's like, why are you not here? Why are you not on time? And I'm like, I'm about to lose it. I'm like, I'm trying to get there, And it was just so much stress, and in the end, like, I wanted to be at that family function so bad. Like, I didn't want to miss it. But I think the stress of, like, everything has to be perfect, and that, like, I have to be perfect and stuff like that in order to make it to this family function. Like, my son needed to be in his Thanksgiving outfit, that he destroyed. And so, like, I think in a lot of ways we hold these traditions or like these things as like, this is what makes Thanksgiving, or this is what makes Christmas, but really just a good attitude and like being in the moment is really what makes the moment,
Yeah. That made me think of the fruits of the Spirit. And if you don't know, that is kind of our theme verse of this season. And that is in Galatians 5, if you want to go and read the fruits of the Spirit. But I feel like we definitely need to have like love, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, all in these seasons coming up in our lives, because of, they put us in a different perspective of these holiday seasons. Because it's so easy to be on this side, like the stress or the anxious or the, like, we got to go to like 10 different places, like in 5 days. And like, that's almost the reality of it. But if we take the fruits of the Spirit and really put it in a perspective, like what we're wanting or like what we're needing for the season, what our child needs and what our husband needs, put all the, in like, obviously like what God like really wants us to do. I think it's definitely a prayer thing too.
Yeah.
Of like, God, like, where do we need to be this season? Because He will for sure answer you. Because like you may need to go to your grandparents' house, And so definitely putting the fruits of the Spirit in a perspective of like over all of that stress and anxiety and the guilt trips and the You can't make everybody happy type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and evolve that into something different. I think it can really be a beautiful season spent with the ones that you love and enjoying those moments instead of, stress.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why we like Christmas movies or holiday movies so much, is because, like, it's just like, oh, this is what, like, the holidays is supposed to be like. And, they're just like sipping hot chocolate, by the fire, and they have like their grandparents and their family, like all there.
So easy.
And it's simple and it's easy,
Yeah.
And somehow they have like a beautiful turkey to carve, and we're just like, oh, it's just so great. And like you're like, I'm so looking forward to Thanksgiving, and then you get there, or like Christmas, you're so looking forward to it, and then you get there and you're like, and you don't get to enjoy it all. And when you think about the fruits of the Spirit, when you're saying that, it's making me think about, like, how much do we need to fill up on God before this season? Because I think if we get stressed out and we, like, start lashing out on the people we love, our kids, our husband, because of the stress, like, what is that saying about us? Like, what is in us, And it needs to be the fruit of the Spirit, and gentleness and patience, And so I think for me, like, the schedule of the holidays is very stressful. And, like, we need to be on time for this. I'm not a person that likes to be late for anything. But I think just, like, slowing down and actually, like, enjoying the season and paying attention to, like, is God filling me up? And, like, can I make it to this event? Because, like, the postpartum story that I told last Thanksgiving, like, I might have should have skipped Thanksgiving, because I was literally gassed and I didn't have anything else to give. And I was barely giving what my son needed and my husband needed at that moment, But I was, like, determined to, like, make it to this family event. And I had nothing else to give, and by the end of it, I was exhausted and didn't want to do anything. And so, like, really analyze, like, what is your limit, because, like, we can't be at every family function. And if we are, how much is it stealing away from our peace and our joy and stuff? Like, is it something that will fill us up in the end, or is it something that is just going to, like, tear us down? And are we full of God and, like, His Holy Spirit, to give us the strength to make it through these holidays in a good mood?
Yeah. No, yeah, I was just thinking about all the things that we do, because it's just so much, and especially when you have, like, divorced parents, like, it's even more because you have, like, two separate families,
Yeah.
And so that is another big stressor on families and my family, because, like, you like want to go,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to see both parents. So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's a different dynamic, but it's a good thing to come out of it. And I think being intentional with, like, how you're praying about going to, like, where you're going to, or how you're going to spend your holiday, or just being intentional, just, like, with the moments that you're with the people, because it's so easy to be like the high bye, but, like, how are we being intentional in our moments with those people? Because we may only have the short time. We may only have the hey, like, how you doing? And then the, okay, we got to go. Or, like, So, what is our intention, and, like, how can we be intentional in these small moments? And then, like, over this, these seasons and traditions, and, like, how is this impacting our family, good versus bad? And I think definitely, like, honing on the good, and, like, making it obviously about Jesus in the small moments that we have with everybody. And even, like, on Christmas morning, like, how are we spending that time with our family? Or just, when we have the time with our immediate family, like, how are we spending that moment? Are we learning about Jesus? Are we praying? Are we just worshiping, having a good time? And not to be taking that stress over to those moments definitely maybe if you're feeling just overwhelmed, stressed out, take a step back and be like, you know what, like, God's got this, God's got me, like, God is here with my family. I just need to let it go, don't feel the pressure and like just enjoy the moments that you have because we don't have, a long time of life,
No.
like it's so shorter than we think that it is.
Yeah.
And so spending this time with the families what you prioritize is just so important, I think, in our everyday life, but also like in the seasons and the traditions.
Yeah, I really like that. And especially like we don't have that much time with our kids either or with like grandparents or whatever. And so I think it is important to like prioritize and sit down and think about what your traditions are. So for us, because we're talking about like what we're doing as a family or whatever for our traditions, for us, Thanksgiving's gonna kind of be a little stressful. I think my family's gonna be at lunch with my grandparents, and then dinner is with Brantley's grandparents. And like when I say grandparents, I mean like aunts, uncles, cousins, like everybody goes to their thing. So like my Thanksgiving's like 30 something people ish, and then his Thanksgiving's around 30 something people also. And then we're driving back to our house after Thanksgiving meal because my husband has to be at work on Black Friday. So that's going to be kind of stressful, especially with my son, but we're like praying he's going to sleep on the way home, get some good turkey and dressing and like sleep, know. For Christmas though, I really want to make sure that we like slow down and like enjoy Christmas. And so we've carved out time that we're going to be down there with family and doing stuff. But Christmas Day, we have actually said is our family day. So me, my husband, my kid, and we are going to be home that day. We are driving back to our house on Christmas Eve. Again, another late night after a party. But on Christmas Day, we're going to be home. And I'm already looking forward to just like reading books and talking about Jesus being born and, having a good breakfast and like doing our own traditions and like drinking hot chocolate and like maybe letting my son watch a movie about Christmas or something, And so like I'm really looking forward to that and like starting that tradition. And it's very important to me that we don't travel on Christmas Day. And yes, I think we are going to be missing some Christmas family traditions that's happening down in Alabama. But it's like my husband and I talked about it, and like it's important for us to be home on Christmas. So we've carved out other time that we can see family, and it might not be during the big family function, of like all the food or whatever, but we're going to do our best to see everybody, say Merry Christmas and that sort of thing. But we've said Christmas Day is for our family, and we don't want to travel on that day because my husband has to be at work.
Yeah.
The following day. So
yeah, that's a good thing. Like I like my Christmas mornings as well. Now I'm not gonna say that we're gonna our holidays are a little bit crazy. It's just I don't know. They're just always crazy. So hopefully this year won't be that bad. But I do like spending my Christmas mornings, the kids waking up, getting their gifts. I started this thing last year, which it didn't really work because Brinley was only 1.5, I guess. But it's you know how they do Elf on the Shelf?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't do that. Instead, I do Jesus in the Manger. Okay.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Oh, you do have that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really cool thing that you like put his it's like separate pieces, but you put the manger out, and then like there's daily cards that's like draw a picture for the local firefighters, or like send a thank you card to them, and like do that for the police another day. It's like, or like pray for, whatever it is, but it's like daily things that you do. And then you read scripture along with it. And then they have like a book that's like you daily read it for 25 25 days anyways, and baby Jesus will be moving, or actually it's like an angel moves around everywhere, and at the end it like brings Jesus in by the tree. So it's a really fun thing. Huh? What'd you say?
I said I haven't opened mine yet because I mean, like, I don't really know how to do it. I think I'm just gonna get the manger scene out and have baby Jesus.
Shepherd is. I was gonna say I might do the same thing, but Shepherd's gonna grab him, probably eat him, like slobber on him. we'll see. We'll see how it goes this time. But that is one tradition that I kind of want to just like keep trying to do every year, even though last year was it was interesting. It's been interesting. Now as far as like Thanksgiving, like we usually go to Nelson's one side of grandparents, like a random, like the weekend before or something, and just do like a little something, and then we go to the other side of Nelson's grandparents for Thanksgiving, like lunch, brunch type of thing, and then we'll come back to G's house or my grandmother's house and do the like a later lunch, like mid there. And so that's like one thing that we do. So that's not too bad. I feel like Thanksgiving is less of a stress than Christmas because we literally like we do a lot of things on Christmas. But I do like to have my mornings for my kids and my husband and like, you know, spending time with them. One thing we do at Thanksgiving, we do Black Friday shopping.
That's a tradition.
Yeah, pretty much.
Online, or do you actually go?
We've been going. We pretty much have been every year. Last year, we just had Brinley, so like, well, no, we had both of them, didn't we? I might not have went last year because of Shepherd being so little.
Yeah.
But it's still been pretty fun. It kind of is a tradition with Nelson's family, so.
Oh, okay.
Like, get the deals, even though.
Are there any deals out anymore in the stores?
I mean,
I feel like they're all.
Yes, but they're just. It's not really deals. I don't think.
Yeah. It's not like what it used to be.
Yeah. No. It used to be
TVs for like $50. You know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, it's not the same. But, anyways, so yeah, I'm definitely trying to prioritize my time better, and you know, like buckle down on like this is what my family is doing, you know, because I think that can be very like controversial and like
in your family,
or just like people just wanting you to come to their things, and like, I mean, like we said earlier, like we can't make everybody happy, and I say if you're struggling with that with your family, like stand your ground, because like eventually, like you will be the main family that everybody else comes to. You know what I'm saying? Or if not, like then go to all the things. Like it's not a one thing for everybody.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think too, like remembering if you're the young family like us, you know, that has to travel around to the grandparents, great grandparents, or whatever. Like remember that to when we're one day grandparents and we want everybody to come to us, you know, like remember to be flexible, you know, and like remember, like if you do want everybody there, like be flexible to their schedules or whatever, you know. I think that is important in making family functions fun and enjoyable and not stressful for everybody. And that's what, like I always say, like one day when I'm old, like I want everybody to come, but I want it to be like not stressful. Like we can pick out a day like in January, you know, and celebrate Christmas. Like that's fine, you know, but like make it flexible, you know. And it's hard when family isn't flexible, but it's still important to be a part of family if you can, and pray about it and see what things you can actually be a part of without losing your sanity and losing your Fruits of the
Friendships.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Friendships.
Yeah.
Fruits of the Spirit. Like, we need to, remember patience and kindness and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I was really thinking losing friends for the holidays because it can be so stressful for everybody. It's not just you're not the only one who's stressed, or you're not the only family. Like, everybody's stressed, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It can just be, whatever we're prioritizing, or just not, just don't get in your head about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, holidays is about serving other people. And like we said, like, what do we have anything to give, and make sure right now that we're filling ourselves up so that it's not just high and by, and I very much get into like just the shell of a person, and it's like, I'm here for the food, and it's like, I'll talk to y'all later, and then I kind of forget to actually be personable to my family that I don't see all the time, and I forget to be like, hey, how are you, and like, how's work, or how's the kids, and I forget to be intentional in those moments, and just kind of, oh, okay, this Thanksgiving's over, or this Christmas over, on to the next,
Right.
And it kind of just like puts you in a state of not enjoying what the holidays are all supposed to be all about, and that's family.
Yeah. Be present in your season. That's what I was thinking. Just kind of, be there, push your stress aside, and just enjoy the little moments that you have, because life is so short, and you don't get to enjoy these things forever, especially with your little babies.
I know. They grow up too fast.
I know. It's so crazy.
And just like ask God, like, to take away the stress too, or like to help you put it aside, and help you be present in those moments. And I think that was like one of our things that we wanted out of this season. I think me and you both said, was to be present during these holidays that are coming up. And so I think just getting in the right headspace of like making sure that we're filled up. And I think the 40-day challenge is definitely helping, us stay on track of like reading our Bible and actually getting full of God's scripture and, prayer and all that great stuff. So, but yeah. All right. Well, that's it for Seasons and Traditions. Thanks for listening along. If you have any traditions that you love to do with your family, please write it below in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. Don't miss next week's episode, Monday at 4 p.m. We'll see you then.
As we wrap up today's episode, remember to ask God what priorities He wants you to put first this holiday season. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness, but seeking His guidance will help keep everything in perspective. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We love hearing from you. Be sure to tune in next Monday at 4 p.m. for another episode. Until then, take care and may God bless your holidays.